Yes, ma'am.
5,
Present, ma'am.
6, yes, ma'am. 7,
Yes, ma'am.
8, 9,
Present, ma'am.
10,
Present, ma'am.
11,
Yes, ma'am.
12,
Present, ma'am.
13,
Present, ma'am.
14,
Yes, ma'am.
15, 18, 19, yes, ma'am. 20, yes, ma'am. 21, yes, ma'am. 22, yes, ma'am. 23, yes, ma'am. 24, 25, yes, ma'am. 27, yes, ma'am. 28, yes, ma'am. 34, present, ma'am. 35, yes, ma'am. 37, yes, ma'am. 39, present, ma'am. 46, 48, 50, yes, ma'am. 51, yes, ma'am. 52, 53, present, ma'am. 54,
That's 52.
54, 55, yes, ma'am. 57, yes, ma'am. 59, yes, ma'am. 60, 62, 63, 65, 66, 67, yes, ma'am. 68, yes, ma'am. 69, yes, ma'am. 70, 71, yes, ma'am. 72, 73,
Yes, ma'am.
74, yes, ma'am. 75, yes, ma'am. 76, yes, ma'am. 77,
Yes, ma'am.
78,
Yes, ma'am.
79, yes, ma'am. 80, 81, yes, ma'am. 82,
Yes, ma'am.
83, yes, ma'am. 84, yes, ma'am. 85,
Yes, ma'am.
86, 87, yes, ma'am. 90,
Yes, ma'am.
91, yes, ma'am. 6,
Present, ma'am.
24,
Yes, ma'am.
27, 2, yes, ma'am. 18,
40.
I called 18 twice.
Then 24.
24. Why did you miss your attendance? You're just sitting here. You have a dark test after this class?
No, ma'am.
So what are you studying? Okay, your first term test marks are given on the notice board. Check that out, and if you want to see your script, you can come to my office in April. And about your second term test. What's the time scale for your second term test? Second week of February. Second week.
Yes, ma'am.
Next date is 9. Second week of February, that starts from 9, right?
Yes, ma'am. Right.
And I'm talking about 4 or 5.
9 is great. No, ma'am.
Because today we will study the second poem by Sylvia Plath. We will have 2 more poems. I think we will be done with our course materials, course contents by February 2. 2 or 4. By February 2, we will be done with our course materials. So then, we will have one term test to take and you will have presentation. So I wanted to finish the course content first and then you're followed by your second term test and then we will start the presentation and we will see how many days we need. So it's convenient for us, for you, if you sit for the exam on 4 or 5.
Some of us have problem of it. We think that's it.
Dhaka. Go to Dhaka.
Why?
Family reason.
No.
Family reason.
Family reasons.
We have already got tickets.
Okay. In that case, what's common? 9 is fine, but you have to promise that all of you will be present. You will not miss the test.
Yes, ma'am.
If you miss it on 9, no second chance.
Okay, ma'am.
Ma'am, if it
Because
is
it's
on
you are fixing the date.
ma'am, if it is on 4, then there will be a space for second chance.
No, 4 or 5 is the date that I am proposing. 9 is the date you are proposing. You fix the date, it's your responsibility not to miss the test. I will not prepare second question. So 9th of February, that is the date for our second term test. And your second term test will be on Ezra Pound. Your first term test was on one treatment. Second will be on Ezra Pound. And for final, you will have the rest of the course. From William Carlos Williams to Sylvia Plath. William Carlos Williams, Emily Dickinson, Robert Frost, and Sylvia Plath. These 4 poems will be for final. So we are covering 2 poems in these 2 term tests. You are now in third year, second semester, right? So you are done with 5 semesters. In the literature courses, what were the questions that you answered so far? Explanation and question and short note and so you know the question pattern. I don't know why you behave like school children. সবথেকে হাস্যকর হচ্ছে during the non-major exams, their syllabus is the very typical syllabus, the English course. There is reading passage. There will be a reading passage, and you will answer questions like multiple choice, true, false, not given, fill in the blanks, summary writing. These are the typical questions that you see in reading. And then there is paragraph writing or essay writing, and there are questions from grammar like tense, parts of speech, right form of verb, modals, causatives, and then there are lots of questions. Shall I write the whole sentence or shall I write only the answer? I mean, you're university students. You should not behave like a school kid. You should understand where you should write the whole thing. For example, the question is like a sentence which contains a grammatical error. Your job is to identify the error, you have to rewrite the sentence. You write the correct sentence. So you must know that you have to write the whole sentence. When the question says rewrite the sentence, you have to rewrite it. Then why will you ask that should I write the whole sentence or only the corrected part? For questions like right form of verb or the other, if it's clearly written on the question that write the whole passage. You have to write the whole thing. Otherwise, I need only the answers. In fill in the blanks, I need the answers. So you should understand what to write. So be mature.
Will there be any
Question
option?
better, you know. There might be explanation, short notes, or broad questions, or short questions.
How many questions will be there? How many questions? Any option? How many options will be given?
There might be options. You had options in the first term test also.
Yes, ma'am.
There were 3 explanations and you answered only 2.
Yes, ma'am.
And the exam there is only 10 marks. So there are only 5, 6 or 7 questions. There might be only 1 question, if it's a short question, there might be 2 questions or 3 questions, depending on the marks. Okay, so from 9, on 9, that is the date for our second term test, 9 at 3 p.m., right? Our usual class
Yes,
hour.
ma'am.
So don't miss the test. And then, after the second term test, we will start our presentation. 9 is Sunday, right? From Tuesday, we will start our presentation. And for your presentation, you will choose one text from your syllabus. Like for example, one poem by Sylvia Plath or Robert Frost, and then you will try to draw a comparison. It will be compare-contrast type of analysis. You can choose another poem which is not a part of, which can be part of your syllabus or outside your syllabus. It can be an English poem or Bangla poem, whatever it is. It can be a song too. It doesn't matter, but you have to show that compare and contrast. For example, you have studied Images poem, right? William Carlos Williams' poem, Mr. Pound's poem. So you can choose one Images poem and then you can choose another Images poem which is not a part of your syllabus. And you can draw a comparison. You can show how these 2 poems are similar and what are the dissimilarities. It is not necessary that you have to choose a whole poem. You can also draw a comparison between 2 poets if you want. Or you can draw a comparison between 2 characters. Like we have encountered many characters in the poems. In Ezra Pound's The Garden, we find a lady. And then we have Robert Frost's poems. There is also the speaker, the neighbor. So you can also draw a comparison between 2 speakers. Do you understand? Yes.
Drawing comparison between characters, can we choose one of the characters from or one of the poems and the other from? Does it have to be another poem, or we can also choose like from short story?
Anything, short story, you have to show a comparison. You have found something in this course contents. So you have to prove that understanding of this text by drawing a comparison with something similar. It can be anything. It can be another poem, a short story, a character from a novel, a real life incident, a song, a painting, picture, anything. But when you will be able to draw the comparison, you can show that these are the things that are similar and these are the things that are different. Then it will be proven that you have understood this text. Because now you can apply it to other contexts. So is the topic clear? It's okay. Choose whatever you want. A whole poem or a poet or a theme from a poem and then compare with kind of a similar theme that you find in another poem. Talk about the speakers.
Shall we present in group or individual?
It's individual. You work on your own.
Yes, ma'am. It is better. But
And I
time.
think it's better because when there is a group project, only one person works,
ma'am.
the other they just
How much time will be given for?
5 minutes.
5 minutes.
And 5 minutes for each presenter.
Yes. PowerPoint, it depends on you. You may, there is no obligation. You may use PowerPoint. It can be only an oral presentation, or you may use the board. It depends on you. But if you want to do a PowerPoint presentation, inform me earlier so that we can make the arrangements. Okay? So just after the second term test, we will start the presentation. So start looking for the topic. It looked really interesting. We talked about so many illusions, references. And there, another thing is, we have read some modern poems also in this course, right? There are some themes that are very common. You will find the same things in many other works. You can work on a specific theme also. It depends on you. Just choose something from your syllabus and then bring something from which is out of your syllabus and then show the comparison. Okay, so today let's read the poem Daddy. And there is a warning. Whatever I say in the class while explaining the poems, you don't necessarily have to take everything seriously. Because when I speak, there is my perspective also. And you may simply disagree with me. And you are allowed to do that. I am saying that this symbolizes this. It is not necessary that you have to say yes. It symbolizes only this. You may say the opposite. Because I have my likes and dislikes and that influences me. So when I explain, I have those influences also. For example, I don't actually like Sylvia Plath's poems. I don't like Sylvia Plath's poetry. So that dislike might cloud my judgment. So you should not take everything as granted, whatever I say. Listen what I say, how I am trying to interpret, and then compare it with your own interpretation. Develop your own interpretation. And when you will write, and sometimes students think that if they can write on the exam exactly what the teacher said in the class, he or she will get good marks. I do not give marks based on that idea or that conception. It depends on you. I said something in the class and you have written something completely opposite. I am bound to give you marks if your opinion has strong basis. If you have arguments, reasons. If you show the reasons and say that this happened because of this, I am bound to give you marks. So if you write something that is totally contrary to my opinion, don't be afraid. But you have to show your argument. If you just say this happened and then why, you do not answer that why, then you do not bring marks. Because in literature, you can say anything. Accompany it by your own arguments. There must be that argument. So, why I don't like Sylvia Plath's poetry? She wrote beautiful poems. Beautiful, very passionate poems and very painful poems. Throughout the lines, you can see her pain, her fear, her feelings. That is very obvious. But then there are other things also. When the poems or the literary works are not autobiographical, they may have autobiographical elements, but when it is not that obvious, then it's easier for us to interpret the poems. But when we read a confessional poem, then it's difficult. It limits our imagination, our scope for argument. Now you have limited scope. You cannot say this symbolizes that. You cannot bring something similar from far distant. Because here the poet, it's about the poet. This is a confession. This confessional poem is like a confession. Poet bolei diche. This is this. I feel like this. Then how will you explain it in a different way? That is a problem. That's the problem with confessional poem. Especially in the poems of Sylvia Plath. Because you will not be able to differentiate the speaker from the poet. Whatever the speaker is saying actually happened in poet's life. And then there are other things. The way she is talking about her personal life. We don't actually know what happened. We were not there. We are relying on narratives, different versions. Sylvia Plath had one narrative from her perspective. And then her husband, Ted Hughes, he had a different perspective. Perhaps he had his own justifications of the acts.
Maybe like the last Duchess's speaker.
Maybe
Like the speaker of the last Duchess.
Last Duchess.
Maybe. He is always like, he is giving arguments that killing the Duchess was justified.
Okay, Last Duchess, that is different. That's a fictional character, right? That's fictional. But here we're talking about real human being. The poet, poet's father, poet's husband, they had their own narrative. And then there were other people, the biographers, the people who knew them. Not us, the readers, 21st century readers. We do not know those people. We were not there. We learned about them from those narratives, the people who used to know them from their versions. And all the versions, there might be different versions. The way Sylvia Plath portrayed her husband in her work, yes, there were proofs that he was an abusive husband and he engaged in an affair with another woman who also later committed suicide. So, but we do not actually know what type of abusive he was. The extent of that abuse, we do not know that. What happened between these two? And then there is another problem. Sylvia Plath, from childhood, she suffered from that clinical depression. And as a person, sometimes I feel like I can also question her mental state. So such a person and the intensity that she felt about everything, her experiences, her relationship with her husband, the way she experienced it. Do we, the readers, experience it in the same way when we read her poems? And we find something very insensitive in her poetry, like this comparison between her personal problems, her personal agonies, and then the Holocaust. It is something that could be criticized, right? Her pain was the very individual pains, personal problems, and then she compared it with something that is fast. That's a different thing. So there are many problems. Was she really crazy? That's a question. I'm talking about what I think of this. You don't have to think the way I think. You can have your own approach. So when she wrote the poems, she was in extreme mental agony. That we know. It was extreme. And then when a person who lives in such extreme agonies, the way that person reasons or thinks about something, a normal human being who is not in that agony will not take that incident in the same way. The extent of the pain or happiness, these two people, one who is in that, who is living in that experience, and the person who is not, their assessment of these two incidents will not be the same. Perhaps that's why she can draw this comparison, this insensitive comparison, that her pains, it's like she was like one of those Jews who were about to be gassed and cremated, about to be killed, or about to be tortured in the concentration camps. She can feel in that way. But when we read, that comparison does not seem that it cannot convince us that this comparison is not an appropriate one. So there are many problems. So the way history has portrayed Sylvia Plath and Ted Hughes was celebrated as a poet. He was also a great poet. His poems are beautiful. And but as husband and wife, history portrayed Ted Hughes as an abusive husband, and Sylvia Plath as a wife who suffered in the relationship, and in her poems, she portrayed her personal life. But we don't actually know what were the things, the incidents that actually happened. How was the actual equation? So there are some problems, and that's why I don't like Sylvia Plath's poetry. And the people who suffer from depression, they always feel in an intense way. Even the problem is very trivial, very small, they take it very seriously. Even if you just leave a comment, perhaps a rude comment, but a normal person probably will ignore it. But those people, that comment, a simple comment, it may leave a permanent impact on those people who are suffering from the depression, who sees the life in different ways. So there is another problem in assessing her work. Because the way she feels, the thing is, do we also feel in the same way? If we do not feel, we cannot take that comparison seriously. Because Holocaust was a serious matter. Her personal problems, her pain, that was also serious, but the level of comparison, it just doesn't match. So that's where criticism comes. But it depends upon the reader. If you can feel like Plath, you can say that no, that comparison is fine. She intentionally used those imageries, that comparison, to talk about the extent of her suffering. Okay, so this poem, Daddy, it's about the speaker's father. And it's a long poem. The poem starts with, you do not do. The speaker is addressing someone, and we can understand that the speaker is addressing this daddy, the father. And the title is also important. The title is Daddy, not father. Not formal, a very informal one. The way the child addresses her father. The dear address. So, you do not do anymore. You do not do what? We don't know. We will discover this later. Black shoe, in which I have lived like a foot for 30 years. Poor and white, barely daring to breathe or action. Here is a comparison. Black shoe. So, this you, this daddy, the father, he is being compared to this black shoe. A black shoe in which I have lived like a foot for 30 years. And the speaker is comparing herself to that foot. And she's saying that she lived in that shoe for 30 years. Poor and white, barely daring to breathe. So, that was the condition of that foot, which was living in that black shoe. So, this is not something very happy or cheerful. It's painful. barely daring to breathe. It was suffocating for the speaker. So, these two comparisons, black shoe and foot. The speaker's father is that black shoe and the speaker is that foot. We can take this black shoe as perhaps the memories of her father, past memories, or the influence of the father, or this profound pain and sadness that is associated with the memories of her father, because we know that Sylvia Plath lost her father when she was 8 years old. She was a child, and this child, she did not have her father when she needed him. So living in his memory, living with his memory, that is painful, that she can barely dare to breathe. And then, you know about Electra complex, right? Electra complex, Oedipus complex. Electra complex is the opposite. Oedipus complex is about the mother and the son, and the son's possessiveness towards the mother, where the son takes the father as a rival. Electra complex is the opposite. Electra was the daughter of Agamemnon and Clytemnestra. You have read Agamemnon, right? That Agamemnon was killed by Clytemnestra, and then Orestes, he was Agamemnon's son. Later he came and killed the mother, Clytemnestra. And Electra was the daughter, another daughter. He had one daughter, Iphigenia, who was sacrificed, and then Electra. There is also another Greek play, Electra, that is about Electra and her mourning for her father, and how she hated her mother. If you are interested, there is a beautiful Bengali poem, Electra Gan, probably by Shamsur Rahman, if I am not wrong. If you have time, you can just Google it and read the book. It's a beautiful poem. And there you will find how Electra felt about her father and her mother. So Electra complex is the opposite to Oedipus complex. That is where the girl takes the mother as the rival. And how the girl, the daughter, feels for the father. That is Electra complex. So while reading this poem, you can draw that Electra complex here. Because here we find this relationship between this daughter and the father. And this daughter misses her father. But the imagery or the description that we find here, that is very much disturbing. This daughter is not talking about the beautiful memories of her childhood with her father. And then it's not that simple lamentation or mourning for the loss of her father. It's a little bit different. The way she presents her father, that is very disturbing. That is not usual. Very complex. So, when she says, you do not do, we will find the answer in the last line of the poem, where the poem ends with, I am through. That is the answer. So perhaps by saying you do not do, the speaker is trying to say that you do not control me anymore. Perhaps. I am done with living with your memory, living with or in this pain, living in that black shoe. So you do not do anymore. Or this daughter, the speaker, she is trying to escape from those painful memories. That's why she is saying this, you do not do anymore. And then she is describing from what or what she is trying to escape, from that black shoe, in which she lived as a fool for 30 years. This poem, it was also written in 1962, a year before her death. So, and then next stanza, Daddy, I have had to kill you. Perhaps she has killed him. That's why she is saying that you do not do anymore. I have escaped or I am saved. And I have had to kill you. This killing. Do you think it's the actual killing? Of course not. Her father is already dead, long before. Perhaps killing. Yes. Kill the influence or the impact or the memories of her father or the pain associated with it. This is the metaphorical murder. I have had to kill you. You died before I had died. But you died before I had died. You're already dead, so I couldn't kill you. Marble heavy. So she gives more description. Marble heavy, a bag full of God. Hastily statue with one great toe. And if you have that North Korean mythology, there is a footnote also that Plath's father, his toe turned black from gangrene. That one great toe. And later his leg was amputated because of this gangrene. So she is considering, she is comparing her father to a ghastly statue, a big statue, which as big as a fresco scene, that big. A ghastly statue with one great toe. This statue, it's not something very beautiful. It's a large statue with one great toe, marble heavy, a bag full of God. And it had in the freakish Atlantic. This statue is everywhere. It's scattered. Its head is in the freakish Atlantic, in the Atlantic Ocean, where it pours beam green over blue, in the waters of beautiful Nauset. I used to pray to recover you. And then the two words, these are in German, it means oh you. And you know that Srinaga's father was German and her mother was Austrian. And this German versus Austrian, again that Second World War, that reference comes here. So this statue's head is in the Atlantic. I used to pray to recover you. Perhaps she is talking about her childhood, when her father was sick and she wants or expected his recovery. I used to pray to recovery. She used to pray to God. And there is also another reference that after her father's death, she complained to God that God didn't save her father and she will not speak to God again. She will not pray to God again. So I used to pray to recovery. And then in the German tongue, in the Polish tongue, scraped flat by the roller of wars, wars, wars. So the Holocaust imagery that we find in Lady Lazarus is also present here. In the German tongue, so it is up you, it's OU, this is German. In the German tongue, in the Polish tongue, scraped flat by the roller of wars, wars, wars. She's talking about that war and the impacts of that war. But the name of the town is common, my Polish friend. And the town says there are a dozen or two. So I never could tell where you put your foot, your root. She is perhaps trying to investigate about his origin, her father's origin. He was a German, so the German town to which he belonged. So her Polish friend says that there are a dozen or two. So I never could tell where you put your foot, from where you head, your root. So I am not certain about your root, from which town you came. I never could talk to you. The tongue stuck in my jaw. So I never could talk to you. The tongue, the German tongue, is stuck in my jaw. So it shows a certain kind of disdain towards this German language. Because of her incompetence in that language, she is saying that she could never talk to him. So in these two stanzas, we find a certain detachment, a sense of detachment between the father and the daughter, that the daughter doesn't know about her father's origin, that is her origin also, right? Her ancestral home, her father's town, her German root. But she is not sure which town? She doesn't know about her father. She doesn't know about his root, his origin, and then she doesn't know the language. Because she doesn't know the language, she couldn't talk to him, or she couldn't probably investigate. So there is in these two stanzas, there is a certain sense of detachment, kind of lack of communication. Perhaps there is a sense of mourning also, and longing that her father died before
She could learn everything from him.
well, probably she could learn everything from her father, and that child's urge to know her father. The father plays a very big role in children's life, but she didn't get to know her father. She had that longing, and she knows that will always remain incomplete. She wanted to know her father, but she didn't have that opportunity. Now she has friends everywhere. She has that Polak friend, but there are several towns like this. She is not sure from which town her father came. Now she's unable to know him, and that pains her. It's painful. For 30 years, it's been 30 years. She is trying to negotiate with those facts.
Ma'am, it's 3:52.
Time is up.
Yes, ma'am. Sorry, ma'am. I said sorry. I said sorry. কিছু প্ল্যান করতে পারবো না নাও করবো না
এক মিনিট টাইম লাগবে এক মিনিট করতে কিছু টাইম লাগবে